Okay, here are the video notes for lesson 2.1, quadratic functions and their models. I'm just going to try to highlight some problems throughout this, and so if I miss something or if you are looking at problems throughout the lesson or homework that don't seem to resemble what I'm doing, let me know and send me an email. Happy to work through a homework problem or something that looks or feels different than what goes on through here. Okay, the first big thing I need to highlight is the standard form of a quadratic function where you have h and k is the vertex and x and y would be some kind of point on your function. And so when you see a problem that's going to need that, it's going to look like this. So writing the standard form of a parabola or of a quadratic, giving you a vertex and passing through a point. So this here is my hk, this over here would be like my x, y, and so we know that that standard form is y equals a x minus h squared plus k, right? And then we just need to plug things in. And so for y, I'm going to plug in -6. A, we don't know. X, I'm going to plug in a +3. Minus h, it's -1. Plus k, that's +2 on the outside. Okay, now I'm going to solve this for a, and so I can put this back into a standard form. First thing here, we have 3 minus 1, that's 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. Oh, sorry. We're going to have to subtract 2 first here. Subtract 2 first here. I forgot 8 was attached to it. So that's -8 equals a 2a, which after dividing here, I get that a equals -4. Okay, now I plug things back in. I'm going to leave y and x as y and x, but I'm going to replace everything else. And so I have y equals -4, that's replacing my a, x minus my h was 1, so I got to do x minus 1 plus 2 because that was my k on the outside. Okay, and then that would be your finished equation. It should have the correct vertex and should pass through that given point. Next big thing we need to highlight is completing the square. It's just a method of rewriting an equation so that we can get it in standard form. And we're going to use our b value divided by 2 and square that. Okay, and I'm just going to show you why we do that and why it's important with this problem right here. Okay, so the first thing I want to do when I'm trying to rewrite this and use completing the square is I want to add my c value, or my 51 here in this case, over to this side. So I get y plus 51 equals x squared plus 14x. Okay, now the 14, that's my b value because it goes, in this case, a, b, c. Okay, I move my c over, that's still my b value there, and so I need to do b divided by 2, so 14 divided by 2, and I need to square that. And when I do that, 14 divided by 2 is 7, and 7 squared is 49. Now, this is where completing the squared actually takes place. Okay, we're going to take that 49 and we're going to add it to both sides here. And so I got to add 49 here and I got to add 49 here. Okay, which then gives me y plus 100 equals x squared plus 14x plus 49. Now the nice thing about completing the square and why this is going to work out so nicely for us is that this is very factorable. Okay, it breaks down nicely now because what we have is you need two numbers that multiply to be 49 that add up to be 14. Well, that's just this right here. So you get y plus 100 and you get x plus 7 squared. X plus 7 squared. And you can think of it too, I got 7 when I did 14 divided by 2, I got 7. And you can also think, well, that's where that 7's coming from there. Okay, now the last thing I need to do is just move over my 100 again. So I got y equals x plus 7 squared minus 100. And now I have it in standard form. My a is 1. My h is -7 because that's, remember, it's x minus h. Now that that's positive, that's -7. And my k is -100, which means that I know, now that's in standard form, I know my vertex. And my vertex again would be hk, which is -7, -100. And my axis of symmetry here, which we'll see more problems with this, but axis of sim would be at this -7. And so x equals -7. Okay? I don't want that. I want that just to be -7. All right? And then that's just how we're going to use completing a square, and that's, again, nice because we can get this in standard form, which tells me vertex and axis of symmetry, which we're about to do in the next couple problems. Third key problem, trying to sketch these graphs when they give us a function. We want to find the vertex and that axis of symmetry, and then we want to sketch it. And so again, I'm going to use completing the square here. This is going to be y, it's moving over the 1 right away. So it's y minus 1 equals x squared plus 2x. I got to do 2, that's my b value, divided by 2, and I got to square that. So that's 1 squared, which equals 1. And now I have y minus 1 equals x squared plus 2x plus 1. And I forgot I got to add it to the other side too, so plus 1 here, which is going to make that go away. All right, because if I'm adding it to the right side, coming from my completing a square, I got to add it to the left side as well. And then this is now factorable, which gives me y equals x plus 1 squared. And I would move something over if this didn't already cancel out. So that means this is going to be my vertex form, or my standard form right now. My a value is 1, my h is -1, and my k is 0. And so my center here, or not my center, my vertex here is at -1, 0. And then my axis of sim, or just axis like I'll call it here, is going to be at x equals -1. So what I'm going to do here is, again, sketching a graph. I forgot to sketch the graph of the last one, so let me go back up quick. I know my vertex I said was at -1, 0. And so I go back -1, I'm sitting here at 0. And my axis of symmetry is at this line here. It's terribly drawn. But again, that's all I really know. I don't know intercepts, I don't know anything, and so I just know it's a parabola that is about that line, about that axis of symmetry with the vertex where it is. Okay, that's not the most accurately drawn, but it's okay because we don't have that much information yet. When we see one like this, where we're going to get some x-intercepts, we're going to have actually a little bit more to work with. Okay, so I'm going to try to complete the square here so I can get this into a form where I know my h and my k, and then the second part of the problem is going to be me trying to find those x-intercepts. Okay, and so here I have y, and I'm actually going to take out a -1 right away from everything. Okay, so this is going to be like -1 getting pulled out here, and then I have, let's actually do that step, let's do that step after I move over my 8. And so 8's going to go over here. I'm adding 8 to both sides, so it's plus 8 over here. And then we have minus x squared plus 6x. And now I'm going to take out that -1. And so I get y plus 8 equals -1 on the outside, x squared minus 6x. Now I'm going to complete the square here. And I'm going to have -6 divided by 2, which gives me -3, and I got to square that. So that's 9. So I'm adding 9 to both sides, but watch what's happening here. So y plus 8 equals -1 on the outside, x squared minus 6x plus 9. Okay, well that plus 9, that's really like subtracting 9. Okay, because really I'm calling it plus 9, I'm adding 9 over here, but if I put that -1 back in, that would make that -9. Alright, so I'm actually going to have to say that's subtracting -9, which means I have to subtract 9 from over here. Okay, kind of confusing there because I pulled out that -1, so just remember really what is actually happening here. When I look at this, I get y minus 1 equals this mess over here, which is now -1. I can factor this. Two numbers that will multiply to be -9, that's going to be x minus 3 squared. And got to add my 1 back over, and so I end up getting y equals -1 x minus 3 squared plus 1 on the outside. and I know my h and my k now. My vertex is going to be at 3, 1, and my axis is going to be at 3. X equals 3. Okay. Now the last thing you need to do is find these x-intercepts. Well, that is just trying to figure out where it's going to cross there. So we set this equal to 0. We have 0 equals that mess. And when it factors, I'm going to just do this quickly. When it factors, does it going to factor nice two numbers that add up to 8? So I think I get x plus, let's see, x plus 4. 1 second. I was thinking this right, because this is -1 up front here, and this is 8, so that's got to multiply to be 8, add up to be a positive 6, and there are two numbers that do that. That's x plus 4 and x minus 2, and I got to have this -1 on the outside from the negative here, and then, but I can set equal to both of those equal to 0, which gives me x equaling -4 and x equaling a positive 2, and so I have my x-intercepts now at positive 2 and at -4. I know where my axis of symmetry is. It's at 3. Again, let me see this. This is actually, I screwed this up. This is actually going to be subtraction here, because I forgot about this negative sign taking it out, what it did to my values here. So this actually became x equals 4, x equals 2, which means I'm over here. And then my vertex makes more sense to me. It's at 3, 1. So when I draw my parabola, I have it going down and going through those x-intercepts. Okay, that problem there was a sloppy work by me, but I am hitting my time limit here. So if you want to see more, if you want the explanation on the other one, for example this one, just let me know and I'm happy to make it and send it out. But for time reasons, this is where I'm going to stop. If you have any questions on 2.1, just let me know. Again, if you see a homework problem or you're working through a lesson like this, and there is a problem that you want more clarification on, just let me know.